First thing first. So we're taking a look at the 12 steps this year and the 12 traditions. And right now we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, part 2. So last week we looked at how to actually begin to unfold that. Right? Looked at what our ideas, what our initial journey was that sparked our spiritual journey. Right? Remembering what was that brought us alive, that part where we came, and then we came to, and then we came to believe, and how we wrestled with our old beliefs and came to believe something different. This morning we're going to focus on the part about being returned to sanity. And what is sanity anyway? It's pretty subjective, maybe. And we're going to do all that in the context of how do we talk about God if we don't believe in God? Excellent question. The simple answer to this, I think, is misleading because a lot of people will tell you just use a different word. And I think that is what I talked about as being unkind. Because it's just changing the wrapping paper. It's not changing what's in the box. And I think we get to wrestle with the old idea of God, which is very similar to what we're doing as we're being restored to sanity. Insanity, the most graspable definition of insanity that I am aware of. It's not clinical, it's not medical, you won't find it in any of those dictionaries. Insanity is repeating the same mistakes and expecting different results. Right? Insanity is becoming the wheel in the mud. And notice I didn't say stuck in the mud because the wheel actually is not stuck. The car is stuck. The wheel is doing the same thing. The wheel is busy moving. It's not stuck. If your wheel is stuck, your differential is broken, and that's a different problem. Okay? We keep being the wheel in the mud. Just spinning and spinning and spinning and telling ourselves we're stuck, which is a lie. Because it denies that we're doing anything. Right? We have to own that I'm thinking the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And notice how the more plexed up you get, the faster you think it, just like the wheel. We just spin faster and faster hoping it will grab something. It's not going to. The thought is inaccurate. Notice I'm not using right or wrong. The thought is inaccurate. Okay? How do we change this pattern? First of all, we have to own what we're thinking. We just got, and here's the thing, just own it. Right? What were you taught about God? What is it about your definition of God that's uncomfortable? Right? Because if you're trying to talk about God with a definition that hurts every time you think about it, that's never going to be effective. If you're trying to talk about God in someone else's definition of God that you patently disagree with, and you're unwilling to say that, it's going to be a very challenging conversation. Imagine that conversations about God started with, well, tell me what you believe about God. And we actually listened. Instead of assuming we all think the same thing. Because we don't. Even people who have a collective 30,000-foot view of God have nuanced beliefs about God. And so what if, rather than trying to supplant your idea of God on someone else, you started the conversation with inquiry? And what if you started the inquiry with you in the privacy of your own conversation before you try to have those conversations with somebody else? What do you believe about God? Because it's easy to say, I don't believe in, quote, God. Okay. What does that mean? What part of... See, when we put things in quotes, what we're really saying, that's code for I don't believe. And it's also code for I'm not going to tell you what I do believe. Right? Because we have this thing running in the background that says whatever I believe that's different than what you believe is not okay to believe. And if I tell you what I believe, I'll be in some level of trouble. You won't agree with me. I'll be shamed. I won't fit in. I'll have feelings I don't want to have. You will. Because that's what conflict does in our body. Right? When it's something that's important and people don't agree with us, our old narratives about connection, about value, about worth, just start writing stories. Right? We say we're not creative writers, and yet we write creative narratives nonstop. We all do it. So what have you owned? This is what I'm telling myself. This is the story I'm writing in my head. Does it have any basis in fact? Is there even a grain of truth in it? Start your exploration there. And then dare to share it with the person you're talking with. Here's the thing. Their opinion has no power unless you empower it. Right? What you think of me, I can say it's none of my business, but oh good Lord, I so make it my business. Right? And I give it all kinds of power. And I wonder what they thought when I said that. Wonder what they think when I said that. Right? Congratulations, you're normal. I don't know if you've been accused of that lately, but that just makes you a normal, functioning human being raised on planet Earth. What you do with it is what matters. Emotions are where we identify the bulk of our insanity, how we feel. Fact. The biological process of an emotion lasts 90 seconds. Yeah, the faces in the room are like, oh crap. 90 seconds. That's the physiological extent of an emotion. If you are still experiencing the emotion beyond 90 seconds, it is because you have taken it hostage in your thoughts and you're ruminating on it and you keep reigniting that 90 seconds over and over and over. And in the process, you're flooding your body with all kinds of stress hormones that aren't healthy, that make you physiologically feel bad. The cure? Stop it. Isn't that easy? No. No, it's not. How do we change that? Here's Ernest Holmes. In the 1926 edition, he's talking about habits. This is what he says. Habits are formed by first consciously thinking and then unconsciously acting. But few realize that when one consciously thinks, something must happen with their thought. You can't have a thought that something doesn't happen with. It's going to manifest somewhere, somehow, as something. What one thinks today will tomorrow be part of their memory. And since memory is active, we're talking about an eternal mind, every thought that has ever been thunk in the history of thinking is active and alive now. They're eternal. What we think today as conscious thought will tomorrow be submerged by active thought. Gets hidden, right? We gloss over it by what we're telling ourselves about it or instead of it. This is how habit is formed. First, it is a desire. Then comes the expression of this desire. Then the desire becomes subjective, and the subconscious action of thought causes it to be performed automatically. Those of you that drove here this morning, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, beyond looking for your keys, you did not think about every step involved in starting your car and driving it. It was automatic. You just went to your car, unlocked it, got in, put the key where it belongs, turned the key, and drove off. You didn't go key fob, thumb, click, door, open, pull, enter, sit, key, ignition, turn. You didn't do all that. Right? You just did it. That's what happens with our subconscious thoughts. They just automatically operate. When you get ready to walk, you don't communicate with your legs, okay, we're moving now, stand up here. Now, early in the morning, sometimes some of us do that. The older we get, the more we kind of have to, come on, here we go. But we don't do it as a rule. It's just automated. First, we control thought. Listen very carefully. First, we control thought. Then, thought controls us. Back in the subjective are the images of thought surrounding us, all acting as living intelligences. It is here that habits are formed, and when one has a habit that they cannot seem to break, they are hypnotized by the thought and desire back of that habit. The force thought has grown too strong to be controlled. Habits are healed by neutralizing the thought behind them, not by demanding that you quit thinking it. That never works. Right? I can tell you all, don't think about pink elephants, and immediately you all start thinking about pink elephants. You're welcome. But that's the tire, right? We recognize a thought, and instead of having a different thought, we get stuck in, stop thinking that, stop saying that, stop telling yourself that, stop. And all we do is lock in the very thing we don't want. You can't neutralize acid by adding more acid. You have to add alkaline. You have to add something different. I caution you to move beyond this idea of adding its opposite. And here's why. Because if I'm looking at it as add the opposite, in order for it to be opposite, I have to keep the thing it's opposite of. Right? Opposition only works if I keep the thing I don't want. Just change your thought and change it to what's true. The world has a lot going on right now, and every one of us is experiencing it differently. We are each at the same point of choice. You can compare yourself in and find yourself, your divine self, your true self, in the chaos, which then empowers you to participate in changing it, or you can compare yourself out, intentionally choose to live in duality and pretend like you're not involved. It won't make it so, but it'll make you feel better for a little while. Okay? The whole reason we're doing these steps and traditions is because as human beings, we will rationalize the most outrageous sorts of nonsense to avoid feeling what we feel, rather than embracing what we feel and learning from it. The law of reciprocity is a two-way street. It is a full circle. And so we mostly think about reciprocity in what will be manifest in form. Here's the full circle part of reciprocity. Whatever is being manifest in form is informing you of what is alive in consciousness. And most of it at the subconscious level. Bigotry, sexism, misogyny, racism, any of them that we want to name, are not new. They're not new. What are we going to do to heal them? What are you going to do to heal them? Start with what you're telling yourself about them. If you find yourself shocked that they exist, you might want to explore how you've been on planet Earth for more than 20 minutes and are shocked by something that is so obvious and persistent. You might want to explore that. And then be open to doing it differently. If insanity is repeating the same mistakes and expecting different results, just do something different. Don't worry if it's right or wrong. The universe will give you feedback about how close you are to the bullseye. But most of us refuse to pull the trigger. We're so busy aiming, we're so busy trying to get it right, we don't ever fire. And so we don't ever get feedback. Take a shot. And then see where it lands. Adjust your aim, take a shot. This is about alignment. You cannot align with the center of the target if you never pull the trigger. You can't ever hit the bullseye if you don't release the arrow. You can't stop the insanity of repetitive thoughts if you refuse to have a new one. You just can't. These are over there if you want them. They're great little tools. I'm going to wrap up with this story. Doris Jones was a master practitioner in Santa Rosa, at the center in Santa Rosa, California. And when Doris Jones reportedly, I never met Doris Jones, she passed before I got there. But reportedly, and it's pretty much across the board reported, so I'm pretty sure it's true, Doris Jones, when someone would come to her for a practitioner session, no matter what they were complaining about, Doris Jones would tell them, stay right there in it until you have learned everything you created it to teach you. Quit trying to escape your thoughts and beliefs and learn from them. You created them for a reason. What is that reason? That is the reciprocity that we miss. Right? Whatever you're getting is the reciprocal information informing you about your beliefs. You can learn it now or you can learn it later. But if we don't learn it, we'll just repeat it somewhere else. Because it's not about the people we're doing it with. It's about us. I had a landlord in North Carolina. And John used to laugh. He's like, it took 4 marriages for me to figure out I was the common denominator. Right? You are the common denominator in every experience you have. Stay right there until you have learned everything you created it to teach you. On the macro scale, that's humanity, and we are collectively creating it. What's available to learn from it? I don't believe it's to separate from it, because I don't believe that's even possible. Not really. Okay? So what is available? What is the activity of humanity offering us to learn? Don't worry about changing somebody else. Change it in you. Because there's only one of us here. That's where we get lost. That's where we get disempowered, is because we separate and we think we need to change somebody else. Compare yourself in. Stop comparing yourself out. It's as much ours to heal as anybody's. The study things for this week could actually be fun if you choose it to be. What habits are showing up in your life as unconscious automatic actions? What was the repetitive conscious thought that became an unconscious operation of memory? How do you feel when you're in the habit? How would you like to feel instead? Notice, not what's the opposite of what you're feeling. What do you want to feel? And then thinking about the spiritual truth of you, what thoughts will neutralize the habitual thought? List as many as you can think of. Now, just so you know, that's code for write a bunch of affirmations. But if I tell you to write a bunch of affirmations, several of you will go, I don't know how to write an affirmation. It's just a statement of what you want to experience or feel as if it's happening now. That's all it is. That's all it is. Same thing applies to how we talk about God, how we talk about Buddha, how we talk about Allah, how we talk about anything. Get clear what that word means to you. Doesn't matter what it means to anybody else, ultimately. But if you project what you don't want it to mean onto other people, then you won't talk to anybody, because you're assuming that they believe what you don't want to believe. Start the inquiry with, what do you believe about God? See where it goes. You don't have to share anything, but you can. Or you can just listen, take it in, ponder it, and examine your own thoughts. And at some point, the comfort zone will come. But not if we won't get in the sandbox. Right? That's all you're doing. Just play with this stuff. I've questioned God for 65 years. So far, the lightning bolt has not hit. So far. There's still that old Pentecostal message in the background that periodically will wake me up from a sound sleep in the middle of the night, whispering, what if they're right? What if you really are going to hell? Because that's what memory does. It used to bother me. Now, okay, well, maybe they are right. And in the meantime, I'm going back to sleep. Because I won't know till it happens. It's the one mystical experience we are all guaranteed. We don't know what happens when this body says, see ya. We don't know. And so far, no one has sent a telegram informing me. If I get one, I'll let you know. If you get one, please let me know. All right? So that is our talk for today.